Welcome, welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of Seattle, the fourth oldest and one of the world's largest Rotary clubs, where we embrace service above self and are connecting for good. Today's topic is travel, air travel in particular, with a focus on our own Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Just with a quick show of hands, how many people have taken a flight in or out of Sea-Tac since the first of the year? Dare I ask, is anybody planning a trip before the end of the year? Has anyone welcomed friends and family or business colleagues from out of the area who have come through Seattle-Tacoma Airport? Then, Lance, you've got an audience today. We're going to be focused on the Seattle-Tacoma Airport. We're also going to have an opportunity to celebrate Street Bean, which is the recipient of this year's Seattle Rotary Service Foundation large grant. And by the end of the meeting, hopefully, we'll have an appreciation for what's missing on this sign behind me. But to get us started, I'm delighted to welcome for our inspiration of the day, the immediate past VP for programs, Eric Slaybaugh. And then please remain standing because Virginia McKenzie is going to lead us in song, and Freeman Fong is going to accompany her. Eric?
Okay. That was going second. Wow. That was awesome. Oh, really? Really? Tom, trust me, I'm tough to miss. Recently told by General Lenza that I was an alpha, which really kind of freaked me out. All right, okay, so in honor of Sea-Tac, and by the way, we're flying to London on Monday, so I'm really excited about that. Whenever I think of Sea-Tac, I try to retain a certain awe of our ability to fly anywhere we desire. Whenever I am stuck on the tarmac, I am grossly disappointed in myself with how quickly my awe turns to anxiety and/or frustration. Please join me in prayer. I give thanks that our Creator gave us the ability to create, that this region continues to improve our ability to fly and to travel the world. I pray safe travels for all of us and for patience, grace, and understanding when our lives are momentarily inconvenienced. May we use our travels to improve the lives of those we encounter. Amen.
And now we're going to get on with our program. I'd like to invite Cindy Runger to step up. Cindy not only was doing mic duty today, but she's going to be leading the short part of the program, introducing the recipients from our largest grant program this year. So Cindy, take it over.
I am very excited to share this moment with you. Each year, you embody service above self when you contribute to the foundation, because we fund 36 very diverse and meaningful committees and one service project, one large grant. Last year, for the large community grant, we reviewed over 70 applications, then narrowed it down to 4. So we looked at project sustainability, impact on lives, opportunity for Rotary involvement, and also leverage of financial resources. And it was extremely difficult because all of the finalists were very worthy. But nonetheless, I am happy to say that the large grant is going to New Horizons Street Bean Espresso this year. And here's Executive Director Mary Steele to give you more. Mary.
It's hard for me to express exactly what this means to us at New Horizons and Street Bean. What we do is we train young people who've been on the streets and give them a chance to reclaim their lives. And got a very short video to show you a little bit of how we do that. So if we could show that now, that'd be great.
Provides opportunity for young people to reclaim their lives, build skill and confidence, and ultimately exit life on the streets. It's about more than our expertly roasted and brewed coffee. It's about community, creating a place where customers and baristas feel a sense of belonging. coffee that does good.
So what this grant is going to allow us to do is to expand from one location in Belltown to a second location in the University District. That will double the number of young people that we can serve in 1 year. And as you will be able to see from this video, we're partnering with the University District Food Bank to do this. And we are in the middle of construction. We'll be open, we hope, in September. So I have two things that I can announce based on that. The first is that we're having an open house where Rotary is going to be acknowledged on September 9th, and I have some invitations here. We'll get more information out to you. But the second exciting thing, we roast coffee as well, and this grant is helping us with our roaster. We are going to be roasting a Rotary blend. So we're pretty excited about that. So thank you. This really, it's exciting to me to be able to share Street Bean with you and to share Street Bean with young people who will get an opportunity to learn those skills they need to be successful and sustainable and independent. And so we hope that you'll come and visit us in Belltown and the U District. If you're interested in the September 9th event, I actually have some invitations here and I can give them to you, but we'll get more information out. Thanks again.
Okay, and we have Bill Federley, who is past president of the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation, to present the big check. And we also have a couple of people from Street Bean. Would you please come up and join us for the photo op?
Way down among Brazilians, coffee beans grow by the billions, so they've got to find those extra cups to fill. They got an awful lot of coffee in Brazil. You can't get cherry soda, 'cause they've got to sell their quota, and the way things are.
Well, that's great. That's our Seattle Rotary Service Foundation in action. Plus, I love coffee, so there's a nice side to that. Well, I'm delighted to welcome back the Chief Executive Officer of the Port of Seattle, Ted Fick. Ted, you want to join me? Ted headlined a program here at Rotary in June, and we've invited him back today to offer a brief update and to also introduce our keynote speaker. You may remember Ted started at the port almost 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and he's been at the helm, steering and leading it competently since then. And I also want to just take one quick moment, even though he's not here today, to give a shout out to our board member and totem reporter, Pete Delaney, who was absolutely instrumental in helping us put today's program together. So in absentia, a big thank you to you, Pete, and I'm turning it over to you, Ted.
Thank you.
I am the Port of Seattle CEO, Ted Fick, a proud Rotarian and a member of the Seattle Rotary. I did have the pleasure of speaking to you on June 1st at our luncheon, where the theme of my presentation was the Port's drive for regional prosperity, fostering economic development, and job growth. The Sea-Tac Airport is one of the Port's and the region's most significant economic assets. That was a key part of the presentation. However, we have here with us today someone who can elaborate further about the airport's growth, its challenges, its economic impact, and its future. Lance Lyttle, our Aviation Division's Managing Director, came to the port in January, serving as Chief Operating Officer at that time at Houston's 3-airport system. Lance has exactly the kind of experience we need. He's led multi-year strategic development projects of over $3 billion at Houston. He's played a key role in $6 billion of development programs at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. He has experience in many of the airport operations that are critical to Sea-Tac. One of Lance's challenges is to find ways to channel our amazing growth here at Sea-Tac, the nation's fastest growing airport, while delivering outstanding customer service to our passengers and our customers. He's already producing results. Last June, you may recall, some of the questions that I received were, what the heck are you going to do about wait times? Well, Lance has jumped all over that, and he has some good news to talk about the progress that we're making there. He's also taken up things such as cleanliness of bathrooms and attention to detail that is remarkable for someone who has the bandwidth of responsibilities of running this large airport. I'm glad he accepted the job and the challenge to come to Seattle with his family. Now I'd like to introduce our Managing Director of the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, Lance Lyttle. Lance?
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Ted. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. A little bit of energy. So, a quick thing before I get started. The presentation that I'm going to go through it very fast because I have the timekeeper that's keeping an eye on me. Now, there's going to be a lot of things happening on the screen, and if you take your eyes off the screen for even a few seconds, you're going to miss a whole lot. All right, so I need some help. If someone at a table is reading emails or checking text while the presentation is going on, just give them the elbow so they can focus on the screen, okay? All right. So as Ted said, Lance Lyttle, Managing Director for the airport. I've been in Seattle 7 months now, and I'm enjoying almost every minute of it. Almost. So let me get started. So pretty much everything at the port begins with our mission, and our mission is to create 100,000 jobs, and we do that by leveraging the facilities that we own and operate at the airport and the port. And these jobs range from rent-a-car operations, airlines operations, or extensive concessions program that we have at the airport, and even our ground transportation systems that we have at the airport. So we create multiple jobs, but we also leverage other facilities that we have at the airport, maritime, for example. And again, the jobs in maritime could range anywhere from mechanics, it could be welders, engineers, you name it. And we also have the economic development team. Dave is here as well, and one of their primary focus is to basically develop properties for economic development to create additional jobs. So how do we get this done? So we have 4 primary strategies. One is to be the premier international logistics hub. So if you're a company or an individual and you're contemplating moving or transporting or distributing any goods through this region, you should instinctively think of doing it through one of our facilities, whether it's maritime or whether it's at the airport. And so that's one of the strategy. So the second strategy is in the area of tourism, right? And we want to make sure we're the tourism and business gateway for the region. So again, if you're thinking of traveling business or leisure, again, you should be thinking of traveling through one of our facilities at the port, right? Whether it's at the airport or it's through our cruise operations. And the third one is really important for us because it involves small business and workforce development. And we think that is extremely important for us to be successful. And when we say small business, we also include women-owned and minority-owned business. And the fourth strategy is around our being green, our green operations. We want to be known as the green port within the United States or within the world. And we do that through various different things that I'm going to mention in a few minutes. So we have to protect our fine feathered friends, and we sometimes utilize our fine furry friends to help us to maintain the airport. Now, I must admit there's some carbon emission that takes place there, but certainly not as much as you'd get from a traditional lawnmower. So we do things such as preconditioned air, so the aircrafts don't have to run their engines while they're at the gate, and we provide things such as electric charging station to encourage the airlines, for example, to use more electric vehicles at the airport, right? Ted mentioned the economic impact of the airport. We are basically the economic engine for the region. We account for more than 170,000 jobs. 110,000 of these jobs are direct jobs at the airport. right? We account for over 16 billion in business revenues and over 6.3 billion in personal revenues, right? We also account for $565 million in state and local taxes, right? So we're a major player, a major economic engine for the region. We also welcomed over 9 million out-of-town visitors to the airport last year. So we literally are the front door to the region, literally and figuratively are the front door to the region. And one of the things that we try to do when we welcome people to the front door to the region is that we give them this sense of place, all right, the sense of place experience. And we do this through our performing arts program, right, by exposing our visitors to our local artists, very talented local artists, that we have one of the best performing arts program in any airport anywhere in the United States that I'm aware of. Now, as a front door to the region, we only get one opportunity for a first impression, right? One opportunity for a first impression. And we work very closely with our partners at the airport, the TSA, Customs and Border Protection, the rent-a-car operators, ground transportation operators, to make sure that that first impression is a positive one, right? So we work as a team to make sure that happens. Now, as I said, we're growing. We've been growing tremendously. You see it sometimes when you drive to the curb front. You see it sometimes when you go to the security checkpoint. Maybe not so much now because we've improved significantly. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We have been the fastest growing large job airport in the United States for the last 3 or 4 years. And in 2014, we grew at 7.7%. In 2015, at 12.9%. And we're still doing double digits even this year. So we're growing tremendously. We are the 13th busiest airport in the United States, just behind George Bush Intercontinental Airport. And growth at an airport, even though it presents challenges, it actually is a very good thing, because it is a reflection of the economic vitality of the region. You do not want to be the managing director for an airport that's actually shrinking, right? You do not, because it means that the region is not doing so well, right? So you always want to be a part of an airport system that's actually growing. So growth presents challenge, but it's good. Now, one of the reasons we're growing so tremendously is because of the new airlines, right, that continue to provide service to our airports. So in July, we had Spirit Airlines that started with direct flights to LA and to Las Vegas. A few weeks ago, we had Volaris that started flights to Guadalajara in Mexico. And in the first quarter of next year, we're going to be welcoming Virgin Atlantic. They're going to be having direct flights from London. I think somebody said they were going to London. We're going to have flights from London, direct flight from London to Seattle. Now, the one that we're looking forward to really is going to take place in September, and that's Gemini Airlines. They're going to start service from Shenzhen in China to Seattle. What makes it so special, it will be the first time that Gemini Airlines will be flying to any destination within the United States. It's going to be the first time that any airline is going to be flying from Shenzhen to any destination in the United States. So that makes it very special for us. And also, you're looking at a Boeing 787. It's made of carbon composite material. It's very quiet, long range, much more positive impact on the environment. So we're really looking forward to this one in September. Okay, one area for our operation that goes under the radar a whole lot is our cargo operation. But it's very important to us. We do approximately 330,000 metric tons of cargo each year. Now, we're nowhere near Memphis or Hong Kong, but that's still very significant. And as I pointed out earlier, and Ted pointed out earlier, in terms of job creation, we create a lot of quality jobs through our cargo operations. And some of the obvious ones, cherries, especially at this time of the year, is there, and aerospace parts, et cetera. Footwear might not be so obvious, but that's primarily because of the Nike operations that we have in Portland. But this area for our operation is extremely important to us and a major contributor towards that 100,000 jobs that we're trying to create. Now, growth is good, as I said, but it presents challenges. To our passengers, to our tenants at the airport, and to the facilities that we have. And sometimes this challenge, you'll see it, as I said, in just getting us through our security checkpoints. But sometimes it's just moving people back and forth through the airport, even after they get through the checkpoint. We have challenges just trying to get people to the different satellite stations that we have, just because of the sheer volume of people and the tremendous growth that we're seeing happening at the airport right now. For the airlines, major challenge as well. We have airlines coming in from Asia, 12-hour flight, for example, and we don't have gates for them, so we have to hold people on the aircraft, or we hold people in the corridors before we can actually get them into the customs and border process. Sometimes we don't have enough hold room space just for you to sit before you get on an aircraft, or enough concession space. So growth is good, but it presents challenges, and I'm going to talk about some of the solutions that we're coming up with. Also, for the facility itself, the growth has a tremendous impact on the facilities that we have at the airport. Now, there are certain areas, for example, at the baggage claim, we'll have to be waiting for your bags because we just don't have a consolidated, integrated baggage belt system. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing with that. At the TSA checkpoint, the problem is not necessarily the physical facility. The problem is the TSA. They've been doing a fantastic job working with us, but they just do not have all the resources that they need to effectively and efficiently run the checkpoint. And so that's one of the reasons we have such a major challenge. That's more a resource issue with the TSA. So we've been working very hard to make that happen. And sometimes it's the basics that people need, right? 3 things: comfortable seating, power outlets, and free Wi-Fi. Right, the basics. So we're looking at the small things as well as the big things, as well as we look at the facility constraints at the airport. So even with all these challenges, customer service is extremely important to us. And a few months ago, Ted alluded to it, we set a target of average 20 minutes maximum wait time during peak hours. And people said we were crazy, and we probably were. But not only have we met that, we have exceeded that target right now. So that's really great for us. The other area that we're going to, thank you. Other area that we're focusing on is general cleanliness of the terminal, with a specific emphasis on the restrooms. The restrooms is typically the only facility in an airport that everybody uses. You might not go to the concessions, you might not use certain facilities. Everybody uses the restroom. So we want to make sure the restrooms are clean, smell clean, look clean, and are actually clean. So between now and the end of the year, you're going to see some dramatic improvement in restroom and terminal cleanliness. We're not there right now, but we're working very hard at it, and we have some specific things in place to make that happen. So give us a few more weeks, a few more months, and you're going to see dramatic improvement. We have 9 miles of baggage belt at the airport, but they're disparate systems, right? And so we're undertaking a project. We're going to spend over $200 million to have a consolidated baggage belt system. You'll be able to basically check in at any ticket counter, and your bags will get to any aircraft anywhere on the airplane. Or you can arrive at any gates, and your bag will get to the carousel that you need to get to, all right, on one single system. Now, where are we making some of the major investment? In our North Satellite facility, which is predominantly occupied by Alaska Airlines. It's a facility that was built in the 1970s. Over the years, we have put a little bit of lipstick on it, but it still looks and functions like a 1970s terminal. And we're going to be making major changes, right? We're going to be adding 180,000 square feet to this facility. We're going to gut the existing facility and renovate it, rebuild it. And we're going to have a really nice facility. As you can see, there are high ceilings, lots of glass, new concessions, restrooms, floors, vertical circulations, you name it. We're going to spend over $500 million on this, and this should be completed in 2021. Now, the other facility that I mentioned earlier was the international arrival facility. For those of you who have flown in on an international flight and you have gone through our existing FIS facility, you might see what I'm speaking about. So we have people that we have to hold in corridors after a 12-hour flight or a 10-hour flight coming out of Asia or out of Europe, and that's really kind of unacceptable. And this is what it looks like during peak sometimes. Then after waiting in the corridor, then you have to go to the Customs and Border Protection lines, and then you have to wait there as well. And then after going through that, then where do you go next? baggage claim, and then you have a similar issue at the baggage claim, right? But help is on the way, right? We're in design right now, so by 2019, we're gonna have a brand new facility, a brand new international arrival facility. Again, high ceilings. You're not gonna be going through this dungeon type experience like other airports. You're actually going to be going over this iconic bridge that connects the South Satellite to the existing South Satellite to the new international arrival facility. And it's really going to have a spectacular view, hoping it's one of our nice, bright, sunny days here in Seattle. But let me just show you real quick. That's the existing South Satellite. This is going to be the iconic bridge going across the taxiway into the new international arrival facility. If you look to the north, you'll be looking at the Olympic Mountains. Look to the south, you're going to see the majestic Mount Rainier. So it's going to be a spectacular view for someone who is visiting our city or region or our country for the first time. So that's going to be very spectacular. So that's what we plan to do in the short term, the next 4 to 6 years. But what about the long term? What do we foresee coming in the next 20 years, for example? The forecast that we have is predicting that we might be at 52 million passengers in 2024 and 66 million passengers in 2034, right? So what's the plan? This is where our Sustainable Airport Master Plan comes in, right? And as part of that plan, we plan to add additional gates. We're looking at about 35 gates, additional gates, and a north terminal to the facility to keep pace with this growth. But we're going to be building sustainably. We are one of the only airports in the U.S. that I'm aware of that's doing a Sustainable Airport Master Plan. And that's a master plan in which social, economic, and environmental impacts are taken into consideration during the planning. It's not an afterthought. Because we know that we need to grow, but we understand that we need to grow responsibly, and we need to understand and mitigate the impact on the surrounding environments in which we are located. And that's one of the reasons why we strive to be the environmental leader. I have some before and after pictures that you're going to see that took place when we did the third runway, and this was before my time at Miller Creek, but that's what it looks like. And then after we went through our environmental process, we really renovated this, and this is what it looks like now. So we've really been doing a really great job with the environment. What you're looking at, in the next slide you should see, what you're looking at right now is just a portion of 112 acres of wetlands that we have created, right? And over 350,000 native shrubs and plants that we have planted as part of this project. Right, we have fuel hydrant systems, so we pipe fuel from the fuel farm directly to the airplanes, so you don't have to have trucks going back and forth. We're doing research on biofuel with Alaska and Boeing airplane to look at alternate fueling. We have electric charging station, again, as I said earlier, to encourage utilization of electric vehicles at the airport. Right, so there are multiple things that we're doing to make sure that we protect the environment as we continue to grow sustainably and to grow responsibly. Now, one of the things that we are really proud of was just recently we were the first airport in the United States to receive the Salmon Safe certificate. And the reason we got that was because of the efforts we have undertaken to protect the Puget Sound and the salmon habitats. So we're really proud of that. Clap, 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 yeah. Thank you. We're really proud of that. So, sorry. So we have a lot of work to do, right? As you have seen, we have a whole lot to do over the next few years. And no matter how smart I think I am, I can't get it done by myself. And sometimes I think I'm really smart. But I can't get it done by myself. I have a really great team I'm working with at the airport. Can't get it done by ourselves. Have the support of CEO Fick, have the support of the commissioners. We still can't get it done by ourselves. We really need groups, right, external to the airport, groups like the Rotary, Seattle Rotary, like you, to assist us, to lend your expertise, your ideas, even your criticism and challenges of what we're doing, because when that happens, it makes the services and the products that we're trying to create at the airport a whole lot better. So we can't do this without you. We really need your support. And I'm hoping that going forward, this is the beginning of a relationship that I'll build with you guys and make sure the airport and the port continues to work very closely with you as we kind of form this symbiotic relationship to get our projects done at the airport. That's probably a good segue into talking about the Tomorrow at Sea-Tac Coalition. And this is a group of business, labor, and environmental entities that has a primary mission is to be a third-party review and input to the capital development projects that we're doing at the airport, and they also support us in executing the master plan at the airport. On your desk, you should all have gotten a brochure which will provide information to you in terms of how to stay connected with the port. And we have a special tour, behind-the-scene tours, tour for September 9th. And we're looking forward, we're hoping each of you guys can participate. Please contact Lisa if you are interested in participating in that. And that was my last slide, and I've always said if you have any questions, no matter how tough they are, I have Marco who will answer all the questions.
Thank you, Lance. I'm going to take executive privilege and ask the first question while our mic handlers, Daryl and Cindy, get into position. So I see you as an airport expert, and I'm sure that Seattle-Tacoma Airport is your favorite airport. But what's your second favorite airport? What's the role model airport out there in the world that we could be emulating? What's the leading airport in the world?
It depends on what area you're talking about. If you're talking about customer service, or if you're talking about airfield efficiency.
Yes.
So if it's airport layout and airfield efficiency, it definitely would be Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Whoever designed that airport years ago, they got it right. They designed it for efficiency, and that's one of the reasons why you can pump 100 million people through that airport annually. And you just do it quite easily because it was designed efficiently. Now, on the customer service side, I would probably have to go with one of the Asian airports. I don't want Changi or one of those airports. And they have a distinct advantage over us because they can provide the type of service at significantly less cost than us. They can have people in their restroom 24/7, all the restrooms all over the airport. And it's probably would be just too expensive for us to do that. So.
Good, thank you. All right, questions right here. Lisa.
Thank you again, Lance, for being here. And I wanted to personally thank your teammate, Marco, who has been involved in helping coordinate you being here today. I feel like Marco and I knew each other personally with all our emails. So, on September 28th, Michael Medeiros is coming from Delta, and I wanted to know if you had anything to say about the relationship with Delta and how relationships are built when new airlines expand in our community. And then a two-part to that would be, I wonder what made you personally excited to come to Sea-Tac and what you see personally as your biggest challenge in your role.
So the first one, I think I have an extremely great relationship with Delta, and Mike in particular. I know Mike. I started that relationship in Atlanta. Delta was the number one carrier in Atlanta. And I think I have an extremely great relationship. I've had multiple meetings with Delta. We work very, very collaboratively on multiple projects. We will have disagreement at times, but I think so far we've had an extremely great relationship. What attracted me here, of course, is the weather. I'm just kidding. Really, what attracted me, what attracted me here was, when they reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in the job, and I started looking at the Century Agenda and the strategic plan. And then I saw the ultimate objective. The mission was to create 100,000 jobs. That was very attractive. To be a part of a legacy, right? To be a part of a system that when you're finished your career, you can say, wow, as part of this effort that created 100,000 jobs. And throughout my career, I've understood what it means to actually create one job and the impact that one job can have on an entire family. So to be a part of a system that creates 100,000 jobs, that's really powerful, and it was very attractive to me.
We have a question here from Faith Ireland.
I've always appreciated the fact and not appreciated the fact that we have only one entry into Sea-Tac to catch our plane. When you're looking to the future, do you think we will continue to have one place that we go, initial terminal that we go, or will it likely branch out?
So as part of the master plan, that's one of the things we're looking at. We're at the phase of the master plan now where we're doing what we call selecting the preferred alternative. And the preferred alternative that we are zeroing on right now actually have a second terminal that's designated in the Doug Fox area. So you'll actually have, if that goes through, you'll actually have two entry points. You can enter at the existing main terminal, or you could enter at this new north terminal that would be where the Doug Fox parking lot is. So that's taken into consideration as part of the long-term plan.
Question here from George Twiss.
Thank you. Your plans are just really exciting and big, and the question becomes, how will it all be funded, and roughly how much is required to make all this happen?
So it's going to be funded through, of course, airport money, PFCs, bonds, grants. In terms of exactly how much the long-term plans are going to cost, the current capital development program is approximately $2 billion. The master plan, I do not want to put a number out there yet because we're not at that stage of planning yet. We haven't done the financial plan, and I know if I put a number out there, somebody's going to hold me to it and remind me a few years from now that, Lance, you said X billion, and it's nowhere near there. So I don't want to put a number out there until we have done some more planning and we have done the financial plan.
Question from Jeff Borick.
Thanks for joining us here today. First, an easy one, and then maybe a little bit more of a challenging one. I really enjoyed the longevity that the port has gotten out of the underground people mover system. Is that still going to be a part of the future of how the system operates, or do you have a different view of how to evolve that piece? And then secondarily, similar to Faith's point, but isn't it really time for a second major airport in the region? And wouldn't it be proactive of the port to start looking to its role, even if that takes some of the focus off Sea-Tac, to establish something north of Seattle?
So let me answer the first question and then skip the second one. Just kidding. I'm kidding. So the first question, yes. So the one of the challenges we're looking at right now as we expand the airport to the north. So we're going to be adding, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be adding about 35 gates. They're going to be added going up to the north, right? And one of the things we want to make sure we do now is to be able to connect. It's going to be primarily domestic on the north, but we have to connect back to that new international arrival facility. We don't think the existing underground train system will be able to make the connections. We want to make average maybe 75 minutes connections between international and domestic. That system probably will not work. So we're looking at two people mover system, one on the non-secured side of the airport and another one on the secured side of the airport to make those connections. So we're still in planning. We have done a significant amount on the non-secured side. We're just starting to look at the secured side. With regards to a new airport, we're really focusing right now on the capital development program and the master plan. And I agree with you, at some point in time, yes, someone has to start looking at potentially another airport. I'm not sure if we would be the ones to lead it, but we definitely participate in that and provide input into that. But I'm not sure if we'd be the entity that would lead that effort.
Question from Laurel James.
Well, here's the deal.
Uh-oh.
Now, I know that if I'm going to go to the airport, I'm going to either get in a traffic jam or try the light rail. But then once you get to the airport, you get off the light rail and you walk for a mile to get to your gate. So can you get somebody to have carts that go back and forth for some of us that would like that?
Yes, so I'm glad Commissioner Feldman is not here because he has given us that challenge, and I've asked our new director of F&I to start looking at that, whether it's moving walkways or some other solution. But we have identified that as a major issue, getting from the light rail to the existing terminal. We do not have a solution as yet, but we are working on it. It's going to be, whatever we come up with, it's going to be very challenging. It's probably going to be expensive, but we're working on that right now. Do not have an answer for that one as yet.
We have a question here from Darren.
Thanks. So you talked about automating the baggage process and making it better. Now, Denver had that thought too and ran into a lot of problems. What are you going to do to keep that from happening here in Seattle?
Okay, so what we're going to do is what we call activation, or ORAT, Operation Readiness. So once we implement the new baggage belt system, first of all, it's going to be done in phases. It's not going to be the whole thing all at once. It's going to be done in phases. And then what we're going to do is actually do some actual real-life simulation of the system. So for example, we'll bring people in off the street. We'll simulate them actually getting off an airplane. They'll bring actual luggage bags. They'll stuff it with blankets, for example, to get the right weight. And they'll put those bags on the baggage belt and pretend as if they're real passengers. So we'll be able to test that system before. We're not going to wait till the day of operation, like some of the airport did, don't want to call any name, and then you find out on the day off that it does not work. That is not going to happen. If it doesn't work, trust me, we will know long before and we'll be able to rectify it before.
All right, question from Anna Leota.
As someone who flies in and out a lot to deliver keynotes, I really appreciate that you've integrated the Lyft and the Uber and the Wings options back into the parking garage. Can you speak a little bit about how you navigated that relationship with the unions, and because it was blocked for a while and now you've brought it back, and I want to say thank you because other cities haven't figured it out.
Yeah, the big challenge for us, we did a lot of negotiations with Uber, Wings, and Lyft. The first thing that we did, though, the first meeting, we kind of set the precedent for the negotiation. We said, listen, we need for this to be symbiotic. It can't be us against you. At the end of the day, we need to have a win-win situation. And I think that kind of took the guards down. And then we started looking at how we're going to get this done. Now, one of the challenges that we had, we want to make sure that as we brought on the TNCs, we had some form of equity with, for example, the taxi operators. And the biggest one was for them to reach what we call a 45 mpg, mile per gallon, equivalency. And so we had some brilliant people at the port that came up with what we call an EKPI. Right? Environmental Performance Index. And they've worked with a formula, and all of the TNCs have to meet that formula. If not, they're going to be penalized after 6 months. So we've been monitoring that. We're actually doing a pilot. The contract with the TNCs right now is a pilot. We're going to run it for 1 year. And, we've been watching and monitoring, and some of them are meeting the target, some of them not meeting it right now, but they have time to make up. So it was a really challenging effort, but they cooperated and collaborated with us, and we are in the pilot, so we'll evaluate the pilot after 6 months and then after 1 year.
Steve Crane.
Thanks very much for coming and for your vision for everything from bathrooms to 30 years from now. I have a parochial interest in wheelchair access, and wonder if you have in your advisory group somebody who actually uses a wheelchair and who has the point of view that I don't really need a red cap to get where I'm going because the ramps and the rest do not require that. And I'm curious to know, there are so many places like hotels that have done what they call accessible rooms that have never been designed by somebody in a wheelchair.
So it's ironic because we just had an exchange this morning with myself and the team, and it was on the issue of wheelchairs. And there are some suggestions that are being made by the experts, the subject matter experts in the port, and I haven't had the second meeting yet, so probably won't have the direct answer. But one of the things we're looking at is, even with the taxis, wheelchair accessible taxis, is to actually, whether we consider where we have an exception for them in terms of where they drop off and pick up their passengers. So that was actually presented this morning. I haven't had time to analyze the implications of it, but the team presented it to me this morning. So I'm going to follow up with that.
Question here from Skip.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the Downtown Rotary.
Thank you.
You used the word earlier, minorities. I don't like that word because it implies less than and all the things that go with less than. But to be specific, what is your administration going to do to enhance the opportunities for people of color to participate in all the largesse that comes out of that emporium called the airport? It provides a lot of money for a lot of people, and from what people of color tell me, they're not getting very much of it. Thank you, sir.
And you are correct. We did a disparity study, I think it was 2014, and I actually went through the entire disparity study and read through it. And when you look at the disparity index, the amount of, there's a difference between the availability and capacity. And there's a lot of capacity. What the disparity study show, and this is just specifically for construction project, what the disparity study showed was that there is a major disparity for Hispanic Americans, African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, and Pacific Islanders. So some of the concrete things that we have done, there is the I-200, which prevents us from having set aside for DBEs, MBEs, as an example. So what we have done, we have looked at multiple projects that we can apply federal grants to, and we have identified almost $100 million of projects that we have submitted to the FAA just recently. Now, once you apply grants to these projects, they become federally funded projects. Right? And once they become federally funded projects, then I-200 does not apply. But the other challenge that we have on the other side is that we do not necessarily have enough DBEs, or people who have, or companies that are, I know you don't like to use the word minority, but small businesses that have not signed up for as DBEs, and the feedback they gave us is they just didn't bother because there wasn't a lot of opportunities. Well, there are going to be a lot of opportunities, but if we submit these projects and we don't have enough DBEs, the opportunities will just go wasted. So it has to be a two-sided effect. So there are specific things that we're doing right now. We have set some really stringent small business goals, and we have set some specific women and minority company goals as well.
Question from Virginia.
Hi, over here. I have a renewed respect for what it takes to do your job. I'm so impressed at the breadth of topics that you're able to speak to today. Was wondering if you had any updates for us about the possibility of a regional airport up at Painfield?
I do not. As I said, we're really focused on, we're literally bursting at the seams right now. Some of these projects that we're doing and that we're going to get completed in the next 4 or 5 years is actually just to keep up with the traffic that we have right now. So really just been focusing on the airport, keeping pace with the growth that's taking place and us not being the bottleneck for the region. So haven't had a lot of time in the 7 months I've been here to, kind of look at Painfield and all of those other options.
Quick question. Yes. 380s. Are you going to have any, are they coming in anytime soon?
So, so we have had requests, I think, from British Airways and a few other airlines to look at 380s as part of the South Satellite planning effort that we're going through right now. We asked the planners to look at what it would take if we needed to accommodate an A380 at the South Satellite. So they're looking at that right now, and that will be part of the South Satellite planning effort.
Last question
from Dennis.
Dennis.
The press has reported that we have a shortage of gates today, and we're going to start using buses, perhaps like Dulles is using or whatever. Could you comment on that, please?
Yeah, so we have a shortage of gates during the peak periods, and as we go through the construction that I mentioned, the International Arrival Facility and the North Satellite, we're actually going to lose about 5 or 7 more gates, depending on the schedule and the time frame. So the only other alternative that we have is hard stand operation. And hard stand, of course, is you don't get off on a jet bridge, you get off, you go down a step or a ramp, and you get on a bus, and we take you to the terminal. So we will have to do some of that for a few years until we get all the additional gates. Now, it's really not a bad thing. For those of you who travel a lot to Europe and even some Asian countries, it's done all the time, but we seem to make a big deal of it in the U.S. I know it's inconvenient sometimes, but bear with us. It's going to be for a few years. It's like getting worse before getting better, but it's just something that's unavoidable, and we're doing everything possible to make it as not as disruptive as possible to the airline's operation and, of course, to the passenger comfort.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lance. So, we've been looking at this sign behind me. Has anyone figured out the significance of the missing letters? Oh, I'm hearing blood type. Yes, I like this. Well, actually, let me give you a little bit of background. You're right about it being blood related. It was actually inspired by a 2015 campaign in the United Kingdom called Missing Type. And it was an awareness campaign, and it was wildly successful there. In fact, they generated 30,000 new donors into their blood donation system. Just amazing. Because they realized, as we do here in the U.S., that about 90% of people will need blood at some point in their lives before they reach the age of 70. And yet only 10% of the population actually steps up and donates. So Seattle Rotary and BloodWorks Northwest want to try to bend that curve, change that trend, and get more people out to donate. So there's a campaign going on just now through the 21st of August, and it's intended to raise awareness at about 22 different countries participating. But what they're doing is they're removing the letters A, B, and O, the major blood types, from all of their signage. Mostly you're seeing this campaign, I don't know how many have seen it actually out on social media for organizations you're following. It's out there, and maybe you'll be more aware of it as a result of today's program. But they're going to run their media for several days with these 3 missing letters, and then do the big reveal and indicate that what we're really looking for are these missing types of blood. And we're going to be doing the same thing here, as you see, at Rotary today. So we're hoping that as a result of this campaign, more individuals are aware of the need for blood. There's an incredible shortage in our region right now, which is why this is a top priority for the BloodWorks Northwest. My call to action this week, you probably guessed it, is to encourage you to think about donating blood, if you can, and encouraging others, perhaps family members and friends and colleagues at work. We have a shortage right now in our region, so this particular campaign couldn't be more timely. So let's step up if we can, or help others to step up and donate blood. This gift of life is needed every day, and we could be the next ones. Any one of us could be the next one to need it.